What is up, you guys? It's Dom here from Dojo Productions, and today we're talking about wedding photography and using off-camera flash with your wedding photography. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Dom, I'm just a natural light photographer. It's the best way. People love it. This might be true, but natural light can only get you so far. Here's why. I think at some point you are going to have a couple who wants to have their wedding in a super fancy hotel. And that's great. For the most part, you're probably going to be able to do most of your photography with natural light. You're going to be able to do the getting ready, maybe some detail stuff, some portraits, whatever. But let me tell you right now, when it comes time for the reception and the ceremony, a lot of times what I have seen is they have those in the ballroom of the hotel. And for the most part, the ballroom has no windows and the lighting is very dim because they want a romantic, moody look and vibe to the atmosphere. So you walk in with your camera, you say, I have my 85 or 50 millimeter 1.8, whatever, and you start cranking up that ISO, and before you know it, you're at ISO 5000 and your image looks like a world of noise. So what do? You panic because you don't know what to do. And this is where off-camera flash comes in. Now, for this part, I'm going to be talking about off-camera flash in the sense of detail, getting ready kind of stuff. This is the first image. This is the guy's stuff, getting ready, detail shot. This is his shoes, belt, cologne, and the ring sitting on the shoe. It was really interesting because I looked at the guy's shoes and the belt and the cologne and I said, wow, this all looks really good. I looked around and I was like, well, where am I gonna put this? And there was this chair sitting over in the corner. And I was like, that's perfect because it kind of has the same colors and kind of vibe and tone as the shoes and the belt. So we put them on the chair here, and me and Nico, my partner, we looked at this and said, this is going to be really cool. We need some off-camera flash though. So I set up my Westcott FJ400 strobe, and I set up everything to, I set up the camera to do the shot, and we popped off the first image and it looked really, really good. Settings, by the way, are 1/160th, f11, shot on the 85 millimeter lens, ISO 100, shot on the 5DSR because we wanted lots and lots of detail. We popped off the first image and it looked really, really good. I liked the image a lot. But for some reason, the ring on the shoe just was not standing out the way I wanted it to. It still was kind of blending in with the browns of the shoe. Not what I wanted. So I told Nico, I said, hold on, let me get another flash. So I brought over a flash to the right side and lit the ring from the right, and it really just popped, made the image pop. Also, it gave a really kind of nice lighting on the shoe. As you can see, you definitely see the shape of the shoe towards the toe of the shoe, and also it kind of brought out some of the stuff up on near the laces of the shoe. This next image here is of some flowers that were on a table, and most of the time you see that for the guest table, you know what I mean? They have like flowers sitting in the middle. And believe it or not, looking at this image, there was actually natural light coming in. And I could have taken a natural light image, which I did, by the way, and it looked okay. But I wanted something more. I wanted something different. So what I did was I set up the Westcott FJ400 again on the left side of everything, and I popped off an exposure, and I really, really liked it. But for some reason, this was lacking something again. Some of the leaves on like the right side were just too dark, and the whole thing was just kind of blending into the background. And so what I did was I took that same little speed light and I put it actually behind the flowers and the fixture thing, and I took another exposure, and this time it just kind of it lit up everything, and it really brought the image to life. It separated the leaves hanging down from the background, and it just added a whole nother look and depth. And I think this shot looked really, really fantastic. This is one of my favorite shots of the cake that we did. This cake was exceptionally pretty. When I looked at this cake, I said, yeah, no, I definitely want to shoot the cake for this one. And so Nico said, sure, go ahead, whatever. Uh, when I looked at the cake, I was like, wow, super cool. But the thing to me that stood out the most about the cake were the little flowers sitting on the cake. And so what I did was I took pictures of the whole entire cake, everything, to make sure, but then after that I went in and I got some details. And I got this picture here. As you can see, the flower sitting there is kind of the main thing that I wanted to get. So what I did, again, I set up the Westcott FJ400 to the left, and I popped off an exposure, and it was really nicely exposed, super nice soft lighting, but again, it was kind of missing something. A lot of the cake was falling off into the black background here. And so again, what I did was I set up the speed light off over to the right, and this time it really, really did some good. You can see where the light from the speed light is hitting because it is a little brighter, and it's kind of fading into the main speed light or main off-camera flash there. And yeah, again, it really separates everything from the background, and it just adds another dimension to that kind of stuff. This is one of my favorite ring pictures that I've done. This is very cool. So what's going on here is I put the ring down on a piece of glass. So what I did was I had the Westcott FJ400. I had it really, really close to the rings because I wanted a really, really nice soft light to make sure that the diamonds and all the little gems were glowing really nicely. By the way, settings and stuff, this was shot on the Nikon D7200, shutter speed 1/125th of a second, f-stop f32. We were at 300 millimeters because I have a 300 millimeter zoom lens that has a macro mode. So 300 millimeters there, ISO 400. I set up the Westcott FJ400. I popped it off onto the ring, and the exposure looked really good. But the same thing kind of happened here. I felt like I was losing some dimension to the image. So I set up a speed light behind it, popped it off, looked great, but still, the image was kind of missing something. I wanted more depth to the image, and the best way to add depth is to add something into the atmosphere. So what I did was I took my spray bottle thing, my little mist spray bottle, and I added a whole bunch of like mist and stuff in the air, and took another exposure, and that's what it looked like, and it looked really super cool. Now, this whole picture would not have looked the way it did if I did not have that hair light in the background. If I just had the main key light, it would have looked really flat. But having that backlight really, really made the water particles just pop off of the screen. So I think for this one, that kicker light was super important, and that's really what made that whole image. So this is a really, really cool shot. These are some hors d'oeuvres that were set up here, and I looked at this and I'm like, cool, time to do some food photography. I set up the Westcott FJ400 off to the left again, and I popped off an exposure, and I thought it looked really, really nice. And in fact, I almost just walked away and said, oh, that's all we need. But I wanted something a little more like I always do. So this time what I did was I put my extra speed light, I put it all the way in the back and had it all lighting the back with a really big rim light. This shot settings were shot at 1/160th of a second, f7.1 on the 85mm lens, ISO was 160 on the Canon 5D-SR. So there you go. As you can see, lighting is such an important thing. If I did not use off-camera flash and strobes and stuff like that, those pictures would not have looked like that. They would not have looked as dramatic. They wouldn't have popped off and had a lot of really nice depth. I don't think the colors even would have been the same. Everything would not have been the way that it is, the way that it looks so perfect on these pictures without off-camera flash. You probably cannot get these kind of shots with natural light when you're shooting indoors because your f-stop is so, I guess, high. Would it be high? It is. Your lens is stopped down to so much. Like most of these shots, I'm shooting at like f11 because I want everything in focus, and you have to do that for something like this. You cannot shoot at an aperture of f2.8. You can't even shoot at f4 and think you're going to get everything in focus. It will still be completely out of focus. You have to stop down your lens when you are doing shots like this. So it is exceptionally important to do that. And when you stop down your lens like that, you're losing a lot of your natural light. So what do you have to do? You have to bring in your own lighting. So understanding how to light your subject and knowing when to use strobe is super important. And we will definitely get more into that in another episode. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you loved it, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those on the comment section below. And until next time, we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.